On the bill.
Senator from Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Senate Bill 128 has a committee substitute, and if we could have the clerk report that, please.
Madam Clerk, or Mr. Clerk, would you please report Senate Committee Substitute to 128?
Senate Committee Sub 1 to Senate Bill 128.
Senator from Taylor.
Move for adoption.
Matter for the body is adoption of the committee substitute without objection. So ordered. Senator from Scott, or Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, members of this body, we had a robust discussion yesterday on Senate Bill 5, and the comment was brought up as we were dealing with a year ago this month of the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact that it was having on multiple businesses, multiple professions, and multiple individuals. I thought it's remiss that we also talk about today the impact that COVID-19 has had on our children, and that being our students across the Commonwealth. And as we were going through the uncertainty this time a year ago of not knowing what the next 14 days were going to be, the next month was going to be, the next continuing months were going to be, and I go back to being a dad at the time, and there's so many of us here that are parents and grandparents of students that this has impacted. But those last year, in the time frame of March and April and May, and just being uncertain as to what the future was going to be for these individuals. There's members of this body who had children at that time who were seniors. I think to the right of me, Senator from Green was one of those. And there's others I may be leaving out that had seniors at that time. But I remember my daughter, who was a junior at that time, having multiple friends of hers come to our house. And they came to me, because I'm a legislator, wanting to know what's going to happen. Did I have any insight as to what was going to be taking place for the remainder of their senior year? There were friends of hers that had bought prom dresses, that they were wondering if they were going to be able to wear those dresses for senior prom. There were soon-to-be graduates wanting to know would they be able to walk across the stage and have a normal high school graduation. Were those of her friends asking what was the freshman year of college going to be like? And I could not answer any of those questions because no one in this body at that time could also answer any of those questions of knowing what we were going to be dealing with. And I think it caused me as a parent and also as a legislator to also see the impact it was having on student athletes. Now, remember seeing a picture that had taken place. I don't remember the county, but it was of baseball jerseys lying on a baseball field. For every position, a jersey lay there, and parents and friends were driving around the baseball field in their cars as an honorarium to those student athletes that had lost a season that was cut short. It reminded me of Field of Dreams when everybody's coming to the field, but there was nobody on the field to play the game. And that was heartbreaking to see something cut short for something that no one had control of, no one could stop from happening. And I said, I'd love to do something about it for those seniors. Would love to do something about it, but by that time, we were already far gone. We were already gavelled out. There was no bill. There was nothing to do other than just simply tell them, I'm sorry, because you didn't get to have what every one of us were able to have our senior year, which was the ability to walk across the stage, get a diploma, and have family members and friends there to celebrate. I wrote an op-ed talking about this and saying I wish we had a do-over for those seniors and for any student that lost out. Elementary school students that went home last March and all of a sudden didn't get to return back to their classroom and see their friends and celebrate an end-of-the-year celebration. So it's not just for those seniors, it was for every student in the Commonwealth and in the country of what we were dealing with. So I thought, what can we do? What can I do as the Education Committee Chairman? What can I do as a legislator? What can I do as a parent? I've got 4 right now. I see this just like many of us have. But I've seen it right now as a parent of an elementary school student, a middle school student, and 2 students in high school as of right now of what we've tried to do. And so with that, Mr. President and members, I present Senate Bill 128 as it is amended by the Senate Committee Sub. And basically it's to provide an educational enhancement opportunity for those students whose educational experiences have been diminished during this entire school year. That's for every K through 12 student, the ability to have a supplemental year, the ability for local controlled decision making, the ability for students who need an extra supplemental year for academic prep. Some students did not get a chance to take the ACT this year. They weren't able to have any prep courses for the ACT test. Many of our ATCs were not able to offer in-person welding classes, in-person technology career pathway classes. It was done virtually. And for any student that's hands-on in that, Mr. President, you know this too well, that you need to have hands-on learning in so many aspects. And then also, for those students that just lost out on so many things that many of us probably took for granted and look back on. Now, does this bill help and does this bill solve all the problems? No. But it gives an option and it gives a choice. It's not a mandate, but it gives the option for those that feel like they could benefit from coming back. The bill also says that despite any passing grades during this current year of the 2020-21 school year, any Kentucky public and non-public school student, grades K through 12, could request that as a supplemental school year. They can retake coursework that's already completed, or they can supplement with new courses with the retake at high school course. For a student in grades 9 through 12, though, that retake at high school course shall not, though, count as additional credit towards graduation unless the student had failed that original course. So it provides some flexibility, provides innovation, provides local districts to become creative in helping these students that may decide to use this if this bill were to pass both chambers. For any senior who has currently completed their required coursework in order to graduate, they may be allowed to return in a temporary program that is included for SEEK eligibility if the coursework is completed. Now, I mentioned in committee, my senior's one step out the door. And as I said also in committee, sometimes as a parent, you want to get that step back in and keep 2 feet in the house. But I know I can't do that as a parent when they're ready to fly and they're ready to go. But we do have some seniors. I've heard from parents across the state that said, thank you, because this can benefit my child for a year lost. Now, when we talk about this, we've got to talk about athletics and eligibility, because we do know that's going to be a part of the discussion when any child looks to have a supplemental year of education. And I want to thank KDE, I want to thank the Kentucky High School Athletic Association that I worked with every step of the way, being very transparent of what we were looking to do with this bill. This bill shall allow a high school student athlete for this 2020-21 year a 5th consecutive year of eligibility at the same school. But the participant age limit is that still stays in place of the current statute of not being over the age of 19 by August 4th. So that provision still stays in place. We're not going to monkey around. We're not going to do anything that's going to change the age limitations on this. But we also put in here transfer regulations as well. So we're keeping this very tight. But if a student has not held back before, if they're a student athlete, they wish to utilize this, so be it. This is in place for that student athlete to wish to do so. Now, as I mentioned, my senior's out the door. I've got a high school freshman. He's already done a supplemental year before. It was a family decision we made back years ago in grade school. So I always want to tell everybody, this is not a bill for the Max Wise family. for anything with my children. This is a bill that comes from parents and teachers and students that have asked, what can we look to do? The last thing on this bill, it does give, once again, that local control. It goes back to the school boards to be able to make this decision. It's an all or none. We're not going to pick and choose which students can benefit off this and which cannot if they supplement to do this. So May 1st is the deadline that students can request to the school district if they wish to do a supplemental year. May 1st of 2021. The school board then has 1 month to that date of June 1st as a deadline for local schools to accept either all or none of the requests that are being presented. And then the last thing as a safeguard in this, by June 16th, is the deadline for local boards to submit their plans and requests for waivers to the Kentucky Department of Education of whatever academic plan they wish to come up with to help these students if they so choose to do so. Now, Mr. President, we've heard so many stories right now about failing grades. Lexington Herald came out with a story recently about failing grades in the Fayette County School District, and that's just one. We don't know all the other school districts of what those grades would be. But we believe that this bill could be there to help for those that wish to come back. There's a bill today on consent, Senate Bill 225, that helped with KEYS money that we passed already today that basically allows for those students that had a really bad senior year this year to go back and revert to their high school junior GPA if it was better, to help them with their KEYS money as they graduate. And also incentivizes the current 9th, 10th, and 11th graders to do better next year if it's a better GPA than your current year right now that you're in for this academic year. So this is a win-win the way I look at it. Now we can get into how much does this bill cost. We don't know. It's indeterminable because we don't know how many students would take advantage of this. But it's an option and it's a choice. We also know the Kentucky School Board Association has been putting out on a daily basis, and I thank them on their social media page, of how many districts are choosing now to do in-person classes on 4 or 5 days a week. It's been hard. This academic year has been hard for so many. And I know I'm not the only one who's a parent or grandparent that can say this has not been hard. Appreciate all the work that everyone's done across the Commonwealth. But once again, this bill is an opportunity bill. This bill is an academic bill, and hopefully this bill is an opportunity that students can utilize to remember an opportunity that they've lost given this past year. Mr. President, I'm happy to answer any questions from any of our members, but if there are none, I move for passage of Senate Bill 128 as amended by Senate Committee Substitute 1.